Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Starting late, really late this time, because my wife forgot that it's time for the live feed, and I don't expect her to remember. I mean, she's pregnant, and we're tired, and there's a lot going on, so I don't expect her to stuff like this. And I did have half a mind not to do a. Gonna go ahead and do one, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we are starting super late, but anyway, we're just gonna go. I've got a few miscellaneous things to work on, and we'll go through that, and that's it. I don't know, I may be cranky again with the with all the stuff going on right now. Like I said, we are my wife and I are expecting our second child in October, and we are moving, and there's just a lot to be done. Comic-Con, planning for Comic-Con, trying to get all of that squared away. It's in 2 weeks. Comic-Con's in 2 weeks, and I'm moving, and I'm not terribly happy about the timing, but it is what it is, and I really shouldn't be complaining. I mean, I'm happy with all of the changes that are going on, and they're all really exciting. It's just, it gets tiring because you're working on so many different things at the same time. And the other point of frustration, semi-frustration, not really a lot of frustration, was the fact that my Alchemist didn't sell. They just flat out didn't sell. I set the opening price too high, but if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't really care that much. I don't know. I might put it back up there, and I might bring the opening price down, but I probably should, just to get the money back essentially for them. Yeah, I'll probably end up doing that, and we'll see. We'll see if people, pay a little bit on top of it. I don't know, and I don't know. I don't really see how that is going to occur. All right. So anyway, here's what one of the things we're going to be working on tonight is. So I've got this butcher's team. This is not the first time I've painted a butcher's team, but we're doing it again. And we're getting these ready for Comic-Con, or at least the starter set. But I figure if I'm going to do the starters, I might as well paint the whole team and then sell the whole team on eBay. So anyways, so I'm in the middle of building them. You can see I'm using a base stamp and some green stuff to do the base. Here's up on me. Everything locked up on me. Okay, anyway. The dog here, the Doge, Princess, she's got a miscast foot. She's just got a stumpy foot. It's really annoying. And so I put together all the small guys last night because I was using my smaller pinning kit. And that's kind of what I want to show you guys today. Because, there's some people I know get really intimidated or scared by pinning, and a lot of the hardcore gamers don't actually pin their stuff. They just glue it as hard as possible into the base. They'll use the tab and glue it as hard as possible into the base. But believe it or not, Ox here and his blade here, that's pinned in. There's a pin, tiny little pin in there. And the reason why all of these guys are done first is because these are all held together with very tiny pins. And right now, tiny pins are kind of rocking it for me and Guild Ball. They're doing the job. This little brisket's arm fitting right there, pinned in. And then you got, for this guy, I was trying to figure out if they were maybe, for Boiler here, I thought maybe they were trying to just figure out how many small pins can you do on one model. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 small pins in this model, including the axes on the back. Now, when those are kind of slotted in like that, and the fact that they're not like sticking out like a limb is, they're not going to be as prone to pop off. But I don't know, if you have the kit, why not do it? Okay, so that's most of the butchers. You can see I've got a couple of blank 40s here that are just stamped. I'm going to put together these models. So I've got and then I have name board. And the reason is because there's two different sizes of pin that on these models. So for example, tenderizer here, he has, and I've got to clip his, I'm going to clip his stuff off his base real quick. So once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Plate Painted Live. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. Tonight we're mostly going to be working on this. And then I'm going to talk, I'm going to go into a little bit of a diatribe on fandoms and what I see as the problem with fandoms. So anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. So here's a model where the arms here snap in. You know, it's a pretty, they're thick arms. Like you really gotta kind of fight to get them into position. I may actually even need to bend them slightly to get them in. Wow. Yeah. I'm going to have to bend these a little bit to get them in. Now, the good news with a fitting like that is you don't necessarily need to pin this. But I probably will anyway. Yeah, it's really thick. So with these being as thick as they are, I'm getting some weird system messages right now. So I apologize if you're, geez. Yeah. The computer's really pissed about things. Wow. There's just some, how do I turn off the yes, I trust the publisher. Okay. That was weird. Okay. So I'm gonna, let's close that. Sorry about that. Anyway, here's what I'm trying to work on. So it looks like I am going to have to do a little bit of wrestling here on the arms to get this to get that to fit properly. So I'm going to actually, so when you're doing any kind of bending or anything, you want to not use the parts of you, like you don't want to grab this here and twist it, because you're going to end up leaving teeth marks on the arm there. The better way to do this is actually just use your pliers as a wedge and kind of force them open a little bit that way. You know what I mean? Just kind of run it here. And there we go. There. That actually worked pretty well. So now I have plenty of room with these. Now it's like almost a little too much. And I gotta get these to fit back together the other way. Wow. Yeah, this is not a good fit here on tenderizer. That's a little disappointing. So the little triangle wedge here that's supposed to fit together, not the best. Man. All right, let me pull this off frame for a second, do an adjustment to it. Really wide. Stuff, lots of stuff you don't get to see much process if I have to troubleshoot a build. So that's not bad. I think a lot of people they're using something to fill tenderizer's gaps here. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a snug fit if the piece wasn't incorrect. Anyway. Yeah. Okay. So I can do that. So that's one thing. That's going to be, I am going to want to put a pin in there, right there where this is. And then in addition, there's these two other little bits on tenderizer, which are going to require a little bit of attention. Okay. So we have this little axe here, this tiny little axe. And it's got this tiny, teeny, tiny little bump there. That's where it fits into a belt or something. This is the set of knives. Again, really tiny. These aren't absolutely crucial to put on the model, but I'm going to put them on because I want to show you the teeny tiny little kit that I have for doing stuff like this. So actually, I don't think, yeah, it looks like that those knives go right there on the back. And you could just glue it there. I mean, I think maybe 19 out of 20 people are just going to glue that on there and be happy with it, and whatever happens, happens. We are going to pin that in, and then I don't even know where this axe goes. Does the axe go like that? No, that's definitely for the knife. I don't know where this axe goes. I may leave it off because it's a tiny little part. It's not really doing anything. But I am going to put this on the pair of knives here. Okay, and I'm going to specifically show you the teeny tiny little kit that I'm using. I'm going to bring you in closer here to do this. Okay, and you can use this kit for infinity. You can use it for really fiddly models when you have to pin fiddly models. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little file and just kind of gently run it over the bump there to flatten the bump, because I need a place for the bit to grab. Okay, then I'm going to take my bit, which I believe is a 0.75 millimeter bit, and I've got it on the end of this bit driver, and I'm going to slowly and carefully put a tiny little notch in the set of knives. Okay, and you got to be careful because you're going to poke yourself in the finger 900 times doing this. So I'm actually going to do this off frame because it's very hard to do that, to do this without poking yourself and keep everything in frame. The point is to start really slow. Let the drill bit catch. And then once it gets going, slow down again so that you don't drill all the way through. And you don't need to go that far into the model. Honestly, you're okay just even with like just a couple of millimeters. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little pin in this arm here. And I'm going to use the small pins, even though there's a big joint. It's plenty big to use it's a good enough size to use the paper clips, but I need a semi-flexible pin in here. So I'm going to put another small one there. So again, I'm going to run my file across the top there to get a flat edge on top of the joint. Then I'm gonna my drill. It's super nice to go out and a 0.75 millimeter drill. E3 makes set like this, and or you could buy the painter one, which I believe also includes one. You get the you get enough wire rod to use as well. All right, so now with that on there, now I can put a tiny little hole on the miniature itself. So I'm going to drill. This is the easy part because the model's so thick you don't have to worry about going all the way through. You just want to go in a sufficient amount, maybe 2 to 3 millimeters, okay? So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to drill a little hole here in the back. And I'm going to show you all these little holes as I'm building these models, okay? So there's that. Now I'm going to take this this wire here, and we're going to cut off a tiny little section, maybe not even 1/8 of an inch. And now we're going to put a little bit of glue in here, and I'm going to show you what this looks like. Because this is, again, this is probably a little bit more pinning than people are going to do. And they're going to tell you, you know, it's not that important to pin something like this. And really it's not. But it's good to just have, you know, if you have the ability to do it, it's definitely not going to hurt. It can only make the miniature stronger. I can't seem to see what I am doing. There we go. Okay. So let's see if the focus, there it goes. You can see it. See it? It's just sticking in right there. And I'm gonna give that plenty of time to dry. And we're gonna stick one in the arm as well. I don't even know what that was. Some kind of notification. Okay. And then we're gonna stick that. So put a little glue there in that. And there we go. See, you only need that pin to go in far enough for the pin to fit snugly in there. And I just pulled it out because I actually poked it into my skin. With these, with the pins these size, they're gonna, I mean, they're sharp. They'll just poke right into your skin, and you're not even gonna feel it. You'll feel the drill going into your finger, though. For sure, you're gonna feel that. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. Then we got Boar here. Right, and Boar actually pretty simple model. Like you've got this axe handle, and they have a good notch in them. I mean, you can leave it like that, but ultimately, and it is, you know, with big like limbs like sticking out axes and stuff like that. Pin these because these, you know, they don't have strong really. I wanted to show you though. So the part on Boar here that requires the tiny pin is actually this belt. Okay, so this is the little butcher tool belt. It actually exists on a few of the models. You can see here's fillet with that belt. The belt is awesome. And so you have the belt on a couple of characters, and you got those little knife sets and stuff like that. Here is, so you can see I've already put the pin I did this last night, and I was kind of saving it for you guys because I don't think I've ever shown you guys this part of the process as far as when I'm doing that. So here's the pin is in there, and then the way this belt inserts is there's like a notch right there on this side of his body, like right on the front, and then on the back there's another notch, and you can see I've already drilled the hole in that too. Okay, so what you're gonna do now is you're gonna do a do a little dry fit, make sure it fits. It's actually sticking out. Now I stick the pins that I put in. I actually purposely make them a little bit longer than they need to be, so I can trim them down to size right before I glue it in. So I'm going to trim that down. Again, the thing with pinning is you don't need a long pin. You just need one that is going to fit in there nice and snug. And with this belt, I do have a little bit of wiggle room. I can do that. Okay, just like that, right? So I could glue that in right now, but what I really want to do right now is I want to switch to my bigger drill, because now I'm at the point where I should be using the paper clip, and I think this bit, it's a little wide, but that's okay. So I'm going to drill the rest of the holes in this model again with the hands. So let's go ahead and do that. I could use the small bit again. It will still kind of work, but the paper clip just gives you a little bit more strength. I'm trading flexibility for strength, and I want, on a model like Ox, I want strength in the joint, right? So here we go. I'm going to put a hole. Oops. I'm going to put a hole in the hands, in each hand, and then I'm going to put one in the feet. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to put a hole on Tenderizer's cleaver. So again, this is probably won't do any painting tonight, but I wanted to show you guys specifically the building of metal miniatures, because I do get asked that somewhat frequently, like, how do you pin? What is your process for pinning? And because pinning is the on paper it sounds scary. Like, I'm gonna drill a hole in the model, then I'm gonna stick a rod in it, then I'm gonna glue it in. I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong with pinning. You can end up drilling all the way through. Now, one thing to note, how far do you drill in? Well, at a minimum, you want to be that the tip of your drill goes in, and you shouldn't be able to wiggle. Like, you shouldn't be able to wiggle around the bit much. Should form a nice little socket in there. So that's actually enough. It's only in like a close to 2 millimeters. So there's that. Okay. Looks like always start slow, because you need the bit is having a really tough time grabbing. Take your hobby knife and press it firmly against where you're going to drill, so that it'll leave a little indent in there, and now your bit has something to grab onto, and it can grab onto that. And again, go really slow. You'll also notice I'm not using a pin vise. Why don't I use a pin vise? Because I don't have to. I mean, pin vises kind of drive me crazy. the whole manual aspect of the pin vise kind of drives me crazy. All right, so now we're going to do the easy parts. I just need to drill a hole into the arm sockets. When you're drilling like this, you don't need to press too hard against your drill bit. Let the bit do the cutting. And just show a little patience. Again, slower is better than too. You absolutely don't want to go too fast with your drill, and you don't want to use a Dremel. Dremel speeds are too high. You'll end up just heating up the metal, and that will not do you any good. This bit's kind of dull. I guess I use this one a lot, so it's not cutting as fast as the smaller bit did. I mean, it's getting in there. It's just, and again, the other thing to note is you don't really have to go all that far. Finally, I'm going to do it in the foot here, and the trick here is don't go all the way through the foot. Like, try, if you can, try to get an angle on the foot. Now for Guild Ball miniatures, if you're going to not use the tab to glue them in, you really, really need to pin the feet if that's what you're doing. And I hate gluing models by the tab. I did it for years and years for 40K. And I know a lot of gamers use that tab because it's like, I got to get my piece out there and I got to get playing. That comes back to haunt you when you try to paint or base it yourself. That severely limits your options, and you could actually potentially damage the model trying to remove it from the base. So it's just, for me, I just always end up clipping I always clip the tab off. Okay. So anyways, 3 pins for bore here. So I'll show you just how you don't have to do much. Just that's how big your pins need to be. Yep.
I'm sorry I guilted you a little bit.
It's okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I just had a block Aaron.
Okay.
He's going crazy.
Okay. Sorry. Say hi to the feed here. It's
Is
okay.
that all there?
Yeah. That's there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay.
Hi,
say hi to the internet.
Hi, internet.
No one's commenting. I don't know. But we have viewers, but they're not commenting.
Okay.
Maybe they don't like it's okay, sweetie. Hey, so now the cat's in here too. I gotta figure out. Come on. Go hang out with mommy. There you go. Thanks, sweetie. Yeah, let me mute it. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. So I am going to clip the last part there. been kind of a rough night for us. My wife is not doing too well right now. We've been getting a little fatigued, you know, because we're packing and all that kind of stuff, and you know, just especially when you're 6 months pregnant, it's gonna wear on you. Okay, so there we go. There's the pin. I'm just gonna let that dry. We'll set aside. Whoa. All right. Let us know what you're painting, what you should be painting. I'm wondering why I'm not seeing any comments, but whatever. We'll just we'll get going. Your silence is starting to make me nervous, fans. I don't know. There's the next pin, and then we'll put the pin in the foot here. And then I actually have to drill. I have to put one more pin on tenderizer. So there's the pin in the foot. You can see it's at an angle there. That's what we want. Okay. So I'm going to put a pin right there in the corner for tenderizer, right in there. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot going on, obviously, but it's really exciting. It's like, it's like if we can survive the month of July, then we're going to be in good shape for the fall, we think. I don't want to go too fast. But I got to make sure that I've got enough of a channel in there for the drill. Yeah, this drill bit is not cutting anymore. I may have to. For time, that's just a normal part of your drills will start to wear. Okay, I'm going to do a nice. There we go. Oop. Put that in. That bit's a little. You don't want that big of a size difference between your bit and the size, the gauge of the wire that you're using to pin. You don't want to do that. Okay, so let's let that dry. Now we're going to start attaching the other parts of the model we talked about. So I'm going to stick. Make sure I got all that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stick this little guy. Crankfest. Yeah, I'm cranky, dude. I'm going to stick this guy in here. And you can see it once again. I made that too big. I mean, the pin is too long, which is it's better to have one that's too long and then trim it down than it is to have one that's way too short. Now, put a little glue there. And then we're going to just pop the. Now, so this build stuff, this is usually what I'm doing the night before the live show. Like I'll do all the building, and usually I try to do the priming now outside of the live show, because if I prime live, you know, and the primer's still curing, then as I handle the model and stuff, the primer's gonna start to come off. So I try to get all that done beforehand. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's see how our fit looks here. That looks like. Looks like we're going to be able to make that work. Yep. Wow. I think I've actually, with the pin, it actually is kind of locked in place. So all I have to do is I'm going to inject some glue right there on both sides. And then I'm going to try to squeeze the arms into place with my pliers. There we go. And I'm just going to hold him here for a minute. So yeah, today we did the house inspection, which looks awesome. Signed all of our loan application paperwork. So now we cross our fingers and hope that our bank says, you know what, you can borrow a bunch of money and have your house. So I'm excited. I'm excited, but then I'm also really stressed out. This is going to be a significant increase in, what our monthly expenditures are. The cool thing about it, though, is that once again, painting has saved the day because I had to pay for the house inspection, and I paid for it with cash that I made, peddling my wares, commission painting, selling terrain, all that stuff. So far, the two major expenditures around the house have been covered by a good old hobby. Okay, so again, here's that tiny little hole in the back, and we're going to pin this belt in. I don't see too many people pinning to this degree, but again, it's better to do it than not do it, right? So let's put that there, and now that belt is going to be much more stable, staying in there. Okay. All right. So I wanted to talk about something tonight that came up today. Came up in some conversation I was having today, and I thought it was something that I would discuss with you guys. And again, it's kind of like a follow-up to last week. We were talking about the whole geek culture thing and how annoying it can be, and how different it is these days, and how that the whole identity is such a big deal, and it's just, I don't know. That sentence said nothing, which was awesome. It actually said nothing. But anyway, so I was today I found a poll. I found like a thing where it's like, oh, so and so is doing a research paper, a grad research paper on fandoms, and here's a poll that you can take. Right, here we go again. So just like my conversation, my monologue, I guess we'll say, because I don't have people on conversing with me, from last week. It's kind of like the perfect follow-up, right? Here we go again. Somebody wants to know about fandoms, and they have to try to inject something. So I took the poll, and the poll was like, how do you feel that, well, first you tell them what fandom you're in, right? So I'm like, okay, tabletop gaming for me. Do you feel that your fandom is being inclusive of, people of diversity, right? People of color, people with different sexualities, all this other stuff? And I said, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, yeah, yes, I would say so. Not for the reasons that you think, but yes, I would say, yeah, the tabletop community is, in my opinion, rather inclusive and accepting of people from all walks of life, right? So I said, yeah, it is. Then they started to ask me, like, do you feel excluded, because of your gender, race, ethnicity, that kind of stuff? And I said, hell no. No, I don't. And, then it went on to say, do you feel like your community is doing enough to court, people from different diverse backgrounds and things like that? And that question pissed me off. Again, it pissed this whole line of questioning pissed me off. And frankly, I knew what I was getting into the minute I clicked on that link, because stupid shit like that, and talk about diversity in fandom. This is garbage ever. A quote unquote non-white, I find it deeply offensive. Like, deeply offensive, you guys. Like, you could walk up to my face and call me a slope slope slant. Like, you could throw the worst racial epithets at my face. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna laugh, especially if it's someone I know, because I think that's funny. I think it's funny when people say stuff like that. It doesn't bother me. But what I'm saying is, you could say racist shit, like outwardly racist shit, to my face and tell me, hey, you know what? You should go back to your country. I would rather hear that than hear this garbage, this absolutely awful, pretentious, demeaning, patronizing fuck shit that is, oh, well, we need to be doing more for people of color in the tabletop community. We need to be more inclusive of, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you. And I'm going to explain why that is the most offensive garbage to me ever. Right? All right, let me tell you something. See, this is why we called it Crankfest, right? That's why we called it Crankfest. And I don't have much time tonight, so this is why we're just going to jump right into the bitching immediately. Okay. So, from my standpoint, my family came, we're going to get a little personal here. My family came over to this country before I was born. You might call what I am an anchor baby. I'm a natural U.S. born citizen, born on U.S. soil. My parents were going through the naturalization process. So, they came over from the Philippines. And just so you know, the Philippines, they love America way more than you love America. Not kidding. Seriously. It's true. Like, ask your Filipino friends. Like, they love the Philippines more than than the overwhelming majority of Americans like America. Like, they value what you have here way more than you do, because they have perspective. They have very much more recent perspective of what it's like to be under dictators like Marcos, what it's like to suffer at the hands of radical extremist groups, to have political instability and coups and stuff like that. Hey, Octave, it's Mike. Hey, what's up, Mike? Welcome to the show, man. You're catching me in the middle of a diatribe, so buckle your seatbelts. It's gonna be a rough one. Anyway, so my folks came over here, friended in Kansas, dealt with a lot of outright racism in Kansas, because it was right after the Vietnam War. So people didn't know, like, especially Asians, they don't know what you are. You're Chinese, I don't know what you are. That was did you like my Yoko accent? Pretty funny. So we dealt with that, right? We dealt with that kind of racism. My older brothers were friends with the black kids in the neighborhood, right? So we dealt with it in Kansas. Connecticut, similar thing, mostly white Connecticut, in the 80s. And it was like in our school in Connecticut, in our school, they had our elementary school, we had one black girl and one black boy, and they were in the same grade. And everyone assumed that they had to get married. I'm not kidding. That's kind of that's kind of what was going on. And it was like, and then they looked at us and we were like the Asian, we weren't even like, what the hell's the Philippines? They didn't even know what the hell that is. They look at us and like, you guys are doomed. You guys can't marry anybody in Connecticut. So we dealt with that. Then we came out to California. California was way different, right? Because we saw Mexicans for the first time. Oh my God, they have brown skin. And when we came over from Connecticut, like we had lighter skin than they did. Now we're all the same color because now we got sun, so we're all the same color. So I guess what I'm saying is, I know what it's like to be on the outside. Like I know what it's like to be other. I know what it's like to not to be a minority, like to truly be a minority and to not fit in, to truly not fit in. And I feel that everybody, no matter who you are, you have some way, some mode of where you just don't fit in, where you don't feel at home with a crowd of people. It doesn't have to be your skin color. It doesn't have to be your gender. It doesn't have to be your sexual preferences. It doesn't have to be any of that. You could just there could be something about you that's different about you than the people around you, right? So growing up like that, growing up as an outsider, like, my brother and I, in particular, because we're only a year apart, we latched onto some things growing up that were taboo, or maybe just a little bit on the fringe. Stuff like comic books. When you read back in the 80s and 90s, you read comic books in high school, man, that shit ain't cool. Like, you're getting picked on, you're getting made fun of, you're a dork, you're a loser. We played D&D. We played D&D in the 5th grade. We played D&D in the 5th grade. This is 1985, man. This is when people were telling you if you play D&D, you worship the devil, right? We played D&D. We read comic books. We started to paint miniatures later. But here's my point. We were outsiders, right? We felt like outsiders. We were always outsiders. But you know what? And finding people without the internet, finding people who had these specialized preferences was a big deal. If you ran into people, yeah, I like D&D too. In the 80s, like, that was automatically your best friend. Like, you might as well be blood brothers with that person. If you found somebody that liked Warhammer 40K and knew what it was in the early 90s, you're related to that person. And that's kind of what I'm getting at with these fandoms and how they started. It was a collection of people, especially the quote-unquote nerd fandoms. It's a collection of people that always felt like they were on the outside, historically. I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about the kids coming up today. I'm talking about my generation, the Gen Xers. The boomers had it even worse. Because the boomers that were getting into it, that stuff didn't really take off until the boomers were already well into adulthood. And they're the ones that produced the original content. They're the original. They were the Gary Gygaxes of the world. They were the Jervis Johnsons of the world. They were the Rick Priestleys of the world. The Xers, we grew up in that genre as outcasts, as outsiders, and we looked up to those guys. But my point is this: when you get into a fandom like that, you're going to get fucking accepted. It doesn't matter. Like, if you look at fringe culture today, well, even like, let's say 10 years ago, right? 10, 15 years ago. Remember how like taboo it was to get your nose pierced and to get tattoos and to be into like the punk scene and all that stuff? That was a fringe group of people. And the coolest part about those people, here we go, is they didn't give a shit where you were from. They didn't give a shit what color skin you were. They didn't care what your sexuality was. They accepted you as one of their own. All this shit about it being a boys club or straight white male club, that is a new phenomenon. That did not, when we got into comic books and we liked comic books, and you met another person who liked comic books, you could be complete opposites in all walks of life. Like you could be, for example, I could be the janitor or something of your work. You could be the CEO. But when you like a fringe culture, when you like a fringe thing like that, and you're a fanatic about it, when you're a fan, a true fan of it, that person's your brother, man. You stick up for that person. You don't care. You don't get caught up in this identity politics bullshit. That is a new thing. That is a very new thing. And the whole reason why, especially with tabletop gaming, the whole reason why we jumped into that, we went whole hog on that, and we really dove into the community, and we wanted to give back to the community. We wanted to build community, is because for my brother and I, growing up in this country, and growing up at we'll call it the end of traditional racism, because I feel it was for the most part. It seems like it came back stronger, and it's a totally different story. But our communities, that was the community that we were outsiders. Hell, they were all outsiders too, and they felt that way too. But we feel like we're on the outside at times. And to fast forward to where we are today, where most of this stuff, except for miniature gaming hasn't gotten there yet. X-Wing might take us there. X-Wing is probably going to be the boat that we ride in on. And we're getting more popular. A lot of people, like even old people, go, I heard of that Warhammer 40,000. Like, it's getting more mainstream. But as it gets more mainstream, like what the hell is going on? Like, what the hell? Why am I taking a poll that's asking me if I felt excluded by my community? What kind of shit is that? That's not true. It's not true. And my experience, granted, my experience may be very different from somebody that was born 20 years younger than me and grew up in a society where, D&D, comic books, games, and that stuff is way more mainstream. And now this is their experience. They feel like they're coming in, and they're the ones that are feeling like the outsiders. And instead of trying to figure out, like, why do I feel like an outsider? They're saying, oh, it's because I'm a girl, or, oh, it's because I'm this color. Oh, it's because, I'm gay. And I don't buy it. I don't buy that. It's not because they're those things. Now, I'm not going to excuse the shittiness that happens in these communities, because that's fact. Like, and I get to see that through my wife's experience. Okay, my wife is, and I'm going to read your comment here. I get that feeling no matter what, school, games, magic, miniatures, it feels like I don't mesh. I'm the odd one out. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we're talking about here. And I'm just letting these dry before we stick them on the bases. But anyway, so my wife she's the outsider to this whole world. My wife grew up here, blonde, in Orange County. Now, she was an outsider from the standpoint in that she grew up in Dana Point. She grew up in South Orange County and grew up poor. And her best friends, when they got straight C's or B's on their report cards, they were given wave runners, like, yay, congrats, wave runner, and my wife, she grew up with a mom that worked 2 or 3 part-time jobs, and a dad that was kind of not her biological dad, her stepdad, who was a real piece of shit, who didn't really do much. But anyway, so she was kind of an outsider from that standpoint. But for her life, I mean, she grew up a pretty white girl in Orange County. She was, she had plenty of friends. She had a quote unquote normal social life. She had plenty of friends. She did well for herself. She grew up, worked hard, didn't get into gaming, didn't get into D&D and all that stuff. She thought it was cool, but she was always an outsider there. She was always an outsider. She liked video games, and but still kind of an outsider, right? We would say she's a filthy normie, But anyway, I get to see her experience with this community, and it's very different from mine. Like, we go to Ren Fair, right? And we dress up for Ren Fair, and she will, and my wife, especially when this is gonna super make me sound like a dick, but especially when we first started dating, my wife was younger, just traditionally hot, blonde hair, good body, the whole thing, right? And really outgoing, like friendly, talk to people, smile to people a lot. Like, she's a pretty girl living in the world. The world in general is really nice to a pretty girl. The world will hold the door open for a pretty girl. The world will do favors. They'll pull over and change your tire, if you're a hot girl. I tell her this stuff. I'm like, you live in a different planet than I do. It's very, very different. But but her experience is flip-flopped when we get into some of these fandoms, right? So when we're going, when we're at the Ren Fair, you have these like neckbeard Ren guys, Rennies we call them. They're like, they'll say stupid crap, and half of it's for RP, but a lot of times it's just an excuse to be a skeevy bastard. So it's like, is she for sale? Can we have her? I would definitely like to warm her at night. They'll say shit like that, and they'll talk to me. They won't talk to her. Like, it's like blatant misogyny, but it's like part of the act. But you can tell that there's kind of a truth behind it, because some of these guys really are just disgusting people, right? And whatever, and they would hit on her in front of me, and I would get mad, and but I wouldn't get like violent mad. I'm not that. I'm like more vicious with my tongue than anything. So so we get that, right? Then we would go to like Comic-Con, Gen Con, and she would wear outfits. We'd go to Gaslight Gathering. She would wear her steampunk outfits, a lot of corset stuff, stockings, we'll say it's a little racier stuff. And the kind of comments we would get back, and the way people would act around her was downright unacceptable. Like, it's just shitty. It was just shitty, right? And so if she was not used to that treatment, and she didn't understand where it was coming from, she might say, oh, they're treating me that way because I'm a girl in a male-dominated space. And that's not an unreasonable thing to think when you're in her shoes. The only thing, and a friend of mine at work and I got talking about this today, and I said, the part that you're missing when you see that and when you make that conclusion, the part that you're missing about these assholes is that when you get a group of people around anything, there's going to be assholes. Got it? So it came up at work today because it was like, the Paul Feig thing from Ghostbusters. It was like, oh, Ghostbusters fans are the biggest assholes. Well, what did he say? Geekdom has the biggest some of the worst assholes I've ever met, or some bullshit like that, right? Listen, you stupid fuck. You get any group of people together like that, and you're going to have mega vocal disturbing assholes in that group. And it is not the fault of the fandom itself. It is not the fault of the fandom itself that you get these assholes in there. You can go to a car show. You can go to an insurance seminar. Hell, you go to, if you go to my sales meeting and for my work, you go to the sales meeting, I guarantee you that the amount of harassment you're going to get based on that people are going to tell you racially charged jokes, sexually charged jokes. They're going to tell you misogynist things. The quote-unquote assholishness that you're going to meet at the sales is going to quadruple or quintuple what you would ever see at any of these conventions. I was just at AX this weekend. Which you have, you have all of these otaku, and you have guys jerking off in the bathroom. It's hilarious. John Kadichi, the owner of Soda Pop Miniatures, like the first year he showed up to AX last year, he pulls me aside the first day. He's like, Octave, I get to LA, we set up the booth, we start the show, I go to the bathroom and take a piss, guy jerking off in the stall next to me, like violently jerking off, and I can hear it and it's hitting the side. And he's like, and now I know I'm at AX. Okay, but anyway, you get guys like that, and then you get these like chicks that are in like nothing. They're in skin tight clothing. That a couple of pasties over the nipple and a piece of dental floss, and that's the cosplay because that's the character. And yeah, that girl is going to get catcalled, and people are going to be assholes to her. There's going to be guys that are going to get inappropriate. They're going to cross the line. They're going to do horrible shit to her. But guess what? Case in point, when we went to Gen Con, my wife she got some of that harassment in Gen Con on the floor. She got more of that harassment walking around downtown Indianapolis in the general populace. That's what I'm getting at. Am I excusing that behavior? Fuck no. Of course not. No, nobody deserves to be treated that way. But what I'm saying is, you can't go attack the fandom over that. That is the natural consequence of getting a large group of people together. You're going to get assholes. It's the rule of assholes. You stick a bunch of people together, you're going to get assholes. And you know what? Some communities have more assholes than others. Just like you were saying here, let's read the comments. I agree. The geek community no longer has color barriers, gender barriers. The heavy metal community is actually like that too, not so much as gender barriers, but there are some great female leads. That's funny. I met more sports assholes than geek assholes. That's what Sephion says. Yeah, for sure. Like you go to some of those, especially online, like if you're a fan of whatever sports team and you're a fanatic, yeah, you're going to meet assholes. It doesn't matter, people. It doesn't matter. You can go to, the way I explained it to my wife is, if you were to go to, it would be like us going to, say the dog show, right? Like if we went to the dog show and there's a whole collection of crazy dog fanatics, there's going to be some assholes in that community. There's going to be, that's all there is. It doesn't make a thing, right? It doesn't make, my wife getting catcalled the culprit, okay? It does tabletop the culprit. These attract people on who often attract some very lonely dysfunction. Nobody denies that. But it is not the fault of the genre. It is not the fault of the fandom that this stuff occurs. And to say, when these people write these articles, these articles, they just make my blood boil. Miniature gaming has a straight male, white male terrorism problem. Fuck you. fuck you. Seriously. That is the worst. That is the absolute restart. God, Norton, no. No, do not restart. Remind me again in 12 hours. There you go. Because my diatribe is not going to go that long. My point is, the worst possible solution is to attack the medium itself. That is the stupidest thing, and that is the same type of Jack Thompson bullshit. It is the same type of, false correlation that is plaguing modern fandoms. Mike said it himself. Look, the heavy metal community's, pretty cool. There's no barriers, no color barriers. They don't judge you. And I know a lot of metalheads, and they're fucking cool people. They're great people. Are there some assholes in the metal community? I guarantee you there are. Of course there are assholes in that community. There's assholes in every community. But if I were to go into the heavy metal community, let's say, because I don't know jack shit about heavy metal, right? But I think it's cool on the outside. And I'm like, oh, man, I totally can't wait to get into some heavy metal. And I know a couple of guys in bands in real life, and I'd be like, hey, man, let's go hang out. Let's let me go to some shows with you. Let me go to some trade shows. Let me go to some conventions. Let me go to some meetups for heavy metal, right? So I show up and I go to these meetups and things, and I notice, hey, man, I'm one of the only non-white people around. Now, I could take that one of two ways. I could take it as, hey, statistically, Asians make up only about 3% of the U.S. population. So if there's 100 people and there's only 3 Asians there, I shouldn't take that shit personally, right? That's what a logical person would do. Or I could go back and write an article, heavy metal has a straight white male problem. Like, what the fuck you? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that is not... You see, this is why we call this show Crankfest. That is the worst logic. But I can kind of see where they're coming from. But it's completely false, right? If I show up and, I show up at a guitar show or something. Me and Mike, because Mike's into metal. I'm going to say, hey, man, I want to learn more about heavy metal. And I show up there and I start talking to people. Yeah, there's going to be hardcore fan assholes that are going to say, hey, can you tell me the difference between the Fender, blah, 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 and this? No, I can't. Well, you're a noob and you're a tourist. You shouldn't be here. Well, show me your heavy metal cred. Do you listen to this band? Do you listen to this band? There are going to be people that do that to me. There are going to be people that treat me like assholes. They're like, "What? You're Asian, so you must listen to baby metal." Which, by the way, baby metal's pretty dope. I don't care. I don't care. Judge me. I don't care. I like baby metal. Their shit is dope. I like all them Japanese songs. But anyway, but so I could take that. Like, I could take those negative experiences, being an outsider, walking in, wanting to be interested in the fandom. I could take those experiences and I can go home and I can cry on my Tumblr and I can write the most bullshit article ever and get people whipped up in a frenzy and be like, oh, well, your community is racist and it's bigoted and it's misogynist. It's just awful. What is the matter with heavy metal? Let's go into the lyrics. It must be the lyrics. It must be, you know what? We shouldn't listen to Marilyn Manson because those 2 kids at Columbine. You see where that stupid fucking mentality gets? It's wrong. It's erroneous for these fandoms that that were the only time that I ever felt like I was part of something was like, I like D&D, this person liked D&D too. We were totally different. We were, 15 years apart. He worked in a job and did this, and I was in 6th grade. And here's a board game group, and we play with a retired elderly lady who has some really, really crazy World War II stories as a child, and we're like our life is fucking, cakewalk bullshit compared to what she had to go through. That's the good part of the fandoms, guys. That's what makes the fandom so fucking great, is that you can like the stuff, and when you run into another fan who appreciates it the way you do, who's passionate about it the way you are, you don't give a shit who they are. And you want to know something? Seriously, in miniature gaming, I have run into skinheads. Like, I have run into people that in everyday life probably have some beef with those people. And you want to know something? This right here, this gets us talking. Like, we enjoy this game together. And then we talk. Like, this is a true story. Like, I knew a guy who's a legitimate, like, white supremacist skinhead. Like, legit. And he played Malifaux, and so did I. And we played Malifaux and we got along pretty damn well. Like, we got along, and he talked. We talked a lot about the game and whatnot. And come to find out, the guy's a skinhead. He's like a full-blown skinhead. And I talked to him about it, and he's like, hey, I'm just going to tell you, this is what I am. If you have a problem with it, I totally get it. And I said, you know what? I don't have a problem with it, but I'm interested to know. Like, people aren't born that way. Like, what happened to you? And we got to talking, and I'm like, well, how come you don't have a problem with me? And he was like, well, you're a responsible citizen. You value America, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying I didn't walk away agreeing with the guy, but it was part of fandom that made a moment like that happen. And how important is a moment like that for him and for me? How important is that to have that experience that, I didn't change his mind, but I gave him an experience and a viewpoint that he might not have otherwise experienced if all he did was, remain insular and didn't, and wasn't part of this community. So it just drives me insane. It drives me insane when people apply this flawed logic and use it to damage or even attempt to destroy something so unifying as fandoms. I feel fandoms are unifying. I feel that when people start to ask questions along a particular persuasion, along a particular political persuasion, and they're trying to drag this narrative out from you, I find it disgusting. I find it repulsive. Like, I'm not kidding. I find it, to me, it's the modern day KKK. Like, it's the modern day bigoted movement. This whole, oh, you're a protected animal. We're going to keep you in the zoo. I'm doing this for your protection. Don't worry, little brown man. I'll save you. Don't worry. You don't know what you want or what you need. I'll speak up for you. Fuck you. Honestly. You self-righteous prick. Like, your whole virtue signaling, you think you're not doing this for me. You're doing this to make yourself feel better and to feel like, oh, I love video games so much that I went out and I made it a positive place by railing against the people that, catcalled Octave's wife a couple of times. And I made them change a video game because of that. Fuck you. You're not making it better. You're making it worse, asshole. Like, what the hell? Anyway. And yes, baby metal does kick ass. I don't care. I don't care how trendy that shit is. It's cool. I like it. So anyways, that's kind of what we got into today. Like, my a buddy of mine at work. And by the way, I should point out that I am his superior at work. Like, I'm actually I'm actually in charge of the guy. But we talk about stuff like this, and it's just he and I. Like we talk about our fandoms and stuff, and he's like, we disagree about Ghostbusters. Like I don't think it's. I'm not interested in seeing it. He's a hardcore fan. I'm not gonna hate him on. I'm not gonna hate on him because of it. We just don't agree on it. But he was talking about the whole Paul Feig thing, and I told him this. I said, well, that's super super ignorant and really bad to do that. Yeah, are there assholes in the Ghostbuster / nerd community? Absolutely, but that does not. But what you don't do is you don't attack Ghostbusters over it. You don't attack the majority of fans. And the other thing too is it's like, well, let's make content. Here's the other thing. Let's make or restrict content to promote these ideas of diversity. Seriously, how fucking enraging does that, like, how upsetting is that to me? Because, again, I came into these fandoms because I love the stories, I love the worlds, I love the backgrounds. Did I understand that? Do I understand the very simple concept that these writers write what they know, and they share experiences, and they share an experience base from their own lives. So are most of their characters going to be white and straight? Yes they are. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem at all. And you want to know what the problem is when these self-righteous fucks come along, and it's like, I'm going to take this character that you loved and I'm going to scribble with crayon over him and make him another color or make him something different, just to show you how tolerant I am. Look at how tolerant I am. Look at how much I care about the minorities. Look at how much it's I'm making this fandom better for you because it's not safe for you, brown man. It's not safe for you, yellow man. No, I'll take care of you. Fuck you. Fuck you in your ear. Fuck you in your other ear. To quote Goodfellas. Seriously, fuck off. If you think that helps anybody, if you think that not having somebody that I clearly identify with because circumstances of their birth match circumstances of mine, fuck you. Really, like from the bottom of my heart, fuck yourself in the asshole and both ears. It is, you're not only being super super patronizing to me and other people that honestly love the stories, that love the characters, you are pissing off unnecessarily damaging creative content. Okay, that's the real crime. That's the real crime. For any of you guys out there that love art, you love music, you love literature, you love great storytelling, you love great characters, then I personally feel that you should never get in any creator's way. That there's never a good reason to get in their way unless somehow they're creating art through people's pain. You know, like if you've got some like modern performance artist who drags people on stage unwillingly and beats them, okay, get in the way of some art, protect some people. But short of that, don't. If people create content that offends you or disturbs you or evokes some emotion in you that you are not prepared to meet, that's on you, man. That's your issue. If you really enjoy the arts and creative mediums, you are not going to get in people's way when they are pushing boundaries, when they are creating of their own merit. You're not going to get in their way, and you're not going to make them. You shouldn't get in there and make them tell some bullshit narrative that you need them to say so that you can feel better about your life. Seriously, these people are fucks, man. These social justice fuckers are fucks, and they need to fucking go away. I'm just gonna say it. They're fucking awful. Okay, from the bottom of my heart. Like really, it's such bullshit when you go to these. You see these conventions and stuff, and it's like promoting diversity. Here we go with greater diversity in our fandom, and you go to these panels, and it's all these self-righteous fucks up there with these self-righteous fucks in the audience, all jerking off to their self-righteous fucking virtue signaling. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Really. You want to know where the colored people are in your conventions, asshole? They're out there enjoying the goddamn video games that you fucking want to remove. Fuck you. You are not promoting diversity. You're promoting your own feelings. You're promoting your own well-being. Oh, I need to feel good about myself. I'm not just a video gamer. I'm an elevated human being. I'm so evolved past that, you see? I'm out there for the little guy. You don't understand. Fuck you. Really. I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. I might have to delete this broadcast, man, because this is all kinds of F-bombs and whatever. If what I'm saying bothers you, good, tell me. Tell me that it's bothering you. And counterpoint me, because that's what it's about. Like, tell me where I'm wrong. I'm okay. Like, I'm not going to take it personally. And even if you do throw like an ad hominem in there, it's the internet, dude. I don't care. It's not a big deal. Really. But I want you guys to think about that seriously. What's happening, in my opinion, is there's a newer generation of fans that are coming in, and they're coming into established fandoms, and they're experiencing things that frankly are the consequence of joining large anything. Like I said, you could go to an insurance seminar with 20,000 people and you will get sexually harassed there. You will get picked on for some reason or another. Why? Because human beings are assholes, and there's assholes in every community. But you don't get to say, oh, well, it's a fault of the tabletop community and they need to police their people. Fuck you. Again, you don't go after the medium. That's not the reason why these places aren't quote unquote safe for you. It's not the reason why. And frankly, the people who are saying it's not safe, usually people that aren't getting harassed. Like I said, my wife has been harassed at some of these conventions, at some of these like steampunk cons. Anytime she has to wear a costume, not has to, but it's my wife. Of course, she has to wear a costume. But it comes with, like, she's not an idiot. It comes with the territory. There's gonna be drunk, sad, lonely assholes there, right? Especially the steampunk cons. We're gonna talk about steampunk cons. By the way, Mike, we need to. I tell every single man that I know that's into the fandom, that's into especially steampunk, to go to Gaslight Gathering. All right, go to Gaslight Gathering in May. Mike, I'm serious. If you're watching, like, seriously, I'll help you out. Like, we'll get you some steampunk gear. You don't have to wear much, just enough to be passable, like a pair of goggles and, put on some gray slacks or some shit, right? Go to those because they're awesome. And there's good drinking. There's board games. Really, really fun people. And I'm just telling you here at late at night, me married and very much on the way to building a family. Like, when I go to Gaslight Gathering, when I used to go, I would always be in trouble with my wife when I came home, okay? Because there would always some weird shit would go down at Gaslight Gathering. Okay? If you want to know where I was sexually harassed at a convention, it was at Gaslight Gathering. And you want to know what? It was awesome. If you're a single guy, my hope is that you go and get sexually harassed as much as I get sexually harassed at Gaslight Gathering. And let's say it, you know, I'm no spring chicken. I'm no Jamie Lannister. But hell, like, I like bad things happen, okay? Like bad things. Like things that I don't know. There's so the last time I went, man, this is gonna make me, if you didn't think I was an asshole already, because all the girls at Casey are boozed up. That's right, they are, man. And some of them do go to Gaslight Gathering too, by the way. But all right. So I'll tell you the last time I went to Gaslight Gathering. It was like 3 years ago. It's been a while. And man, this is gonna make me sound like such a dick, for real. So we went. My wife and I went. My wife was 4 or 5 months pregnant with our first son. So she was still wearing the whole corset. She was still, you know, cute as shit. Of course, dude, this sounds horrible. This is already a bad story. Of course, my wife is adorable. Of course she is. Through pregnancy, through with or without. But what I'm saying is, like, okay. I hope you get what I'm saying. Anyway, so we went, right? And we're having a good time. But she's pregnant, and so she can't drink. She can't hang out. And so Ross says, "Hey, Octave, man, I'm doing a rum party, you know, at the top of the building Saturday night. So you got to go." I'm like, "Okay, dude, I'll go." Right? Ross invites me to something, and I can go. I'm gonna go. So, and it's Ross. You know, it's a good time. So we get up there. A few of us get up there to the rum party. My wife, pregnant, tired. She just wants to rest, relax. You know. So she goes back to the room, and she's like gonna call it a night. She's just gonna sleep. That's what women do when they're pregnant. They sleep quite a bit. So it's a rum party. I bring my own sake because you guys know me. That's what I do. I mean, I'll have a little bit of rum, but ultimately I'm a sake guy. So we get to drinking, and we get to drinking, and then we get to more drinking, and then we get to more drinking, and I'm just people watching, right? So like I'm watching like the hookups, because this is the best part. This is the best part of being married and going to like these type of things. Like, is you get to see the magic. You get to see the courtship. You know, you get to see the grand contest. Wait, before I pull this shit, I better drill the hole here and stick tenderizer in. I'm gonna stick in right there. Right? I gotta like mark my little spot, because I'm gonna get into it. It's gonna be awesome, right? So I'm people watching, and I'm watching dudes roll up on chicks, and most of them get shot down, right? The vast majority. I don't even really know how the whole, like, how you hook up and meet somebody at a con. I really don't. I'm too old to really know what courtship is anyway. Oh, you're painting your butchers. Sweet. But anyways, so I'm like, there are people watching, right? And my friends are getting just blasted out of their minds. And there's this girl that's just kind of, I think she was helping. I don't remember. She was helping like serve drinks and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, she was not bad to look at. Like, she was, you know, she was pretty good, this girl. You know, to the point where a couple of my friends were like, "Wow, you know, it's just, you know," and they, one of them tried to strike up a conversation with her, and I guess she just kind of blew him off. She just like wasn't having it, right? And I'm getting more drunk as the night goes on, and people that I know are swinging by. You know how it goes, like, hey, like, yeah, and you get through the thing. And when you're really drunk, you're not really paying attention to what goes on. You're just landing in conversations in places. And I don't even remember, honestly, I don't really, this is the part where the story sucks. I don't really remember what happened, okay? I don't really remember what happened. But somewhere somewhere during the night, this girl and I, like, we get to talking. And that's it. As far as I remember, that's all we did. We just talked. That's it. We found each other interesting, and we talked about stuff. And I was way too drunk to remember what we talked about or anything. In fact, I think I do recall telling her, like, how excited I am. I'm going to be a father. That's about it. I think that's all I really remember. And but I ended up spending most of the night talking with her, and my friends were like right around me, like, hey, like trying to get conversations going, and they were people watching as well. But like we had this weird conversation. That's all it was. That's all it was. And so anyways, the next morning, the next day, I'm walking around with my wife, and we're like walking past this area to get to our hotel room, and there she is. There's the girl the next day, and she kind of waves and says, hey, okay, how's it going? And my wife shot her a look of just, I'm gonna murder you right now. You're gonna die right here. And I kind of nervously like that half wave where your hand only goes, it can't, your hand isn't, when you wave, when you're a married man and you wave at a female, especially an attractive one by societal norms, you should not, your hand should not go any higher than your shoulder. Okay, this is pro tip. Your hand should be like as close to your body as possible, and just kind of up like this. That's it. That's all you get. Any more exuberance than that, and you're fucked. Like, you can't do that. That's hugely disrespectful to your wife. Okay? I don't know how I know that, but I just know that. Like, you're not supposed to do that. And frankly, what I did was very, very slightly inappropriate. My whole, let's have a conversation and spend the majority of the evening together. As platonic as it was, that's still not a cool thing, because, and you guys chime in, like, that's not a cool thing to like to do that, because it looks inappropriate. And I think society kind of judge, like, okay, and it's kind of shitty, but it's true. Like, we kind of judge, well, you can talk to this person because you have a significant age difference or something. You look at two people and you go, okay, there's no potential for attraction there, so whatever. That's cool. That's okay. Apparently, there is a range of interactions that are allowed or taboo with people that you might actually be compatible with. So it's like, so when you're a married man, then it's a weird kind of double standard. Like, so if you're a married man, or a married woman even, and you kind of have you have an encounter with somebody who is, within that striking range of attractiveness, then you kind of have to be a little guarded in that, or that's the expectation. You have to be a little guarded. But anyways, my point is, this is a very long story. My point is, yeah, go to Gaslight Gathering, because that shit happens all the time. That's the mild story. We have another story of this other chick that my wife likes to say, that smeared her tits all over me right in front of her, and she was just absolutely infuriated over it. Yeah, and this particular girl was inappropriate with me on several occasions, and so my wife hates her guts. And technically, I guess you could say I was harassed in that point, right? But hey, if you're a single guy, that's good, right? You want to do that. Go to the con, get harassed, right? Anyway, but my point is, stuff like this happens when you have all these types of interactions happen, regardless of the genre, regardless of the fandom, regardless of the community. It's the consequence of getting people together. You're gonna have this happen. And to launch these accusations like, we need greater diversity in the comic book industry, therefore we need to write it in the books, we need to have seminars, we need to have special training, we need to police people, what people say and do and think and what they create. Dude, that's the worst thing you can be doing, in my opinion. That is the absolute worst thing you can be doing for any fandom. If you genuinely care about the creative medium itself, you won't do that. That's bullshit. You won't do that. And you shouldn't do that. And I don't care. I'm not saying I'm not saying that that they're, that video games should be a male dominated space. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm not saying that tabletop gaming should be a male dominated space. What I'm saying is, if you want the whole idea of I want more girls in gaming is kind of a selfish one when it comes down to it. It would, if people make content that's appealing to female fans, that's appealing to gay fans, it's appealing to black fans, whatever, it's because they made content that was fantastic first, and just so happened to reach out and identify with more people of a specific group. But to try to police them and the fans, or hold them hostage and try to make them do stuff like that, is really bad for these mediums, in my opinion. It's really bad for it. These mediums have today, by today's standards, I feel that these mediums go through their own maturity, and like, look at Warhammer 40K. If you look at the original Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader, it played more like D&D. It was really, really high fantasy. It was highly sexualized. It was very mature. Like, there was a lot. It was more grotesque in some ways, and it was edgy for its day. It was out there. And as more and more people got into Warhammer 40K, got more interested in Warhammer 40K, and it started to see a mainstream appeal, then the game itself responded to that appeal. It reduced the amount of exposed boobs on miniatures until now you have like 40K miniatures look like the female miniatures look exactly like the guy miniatures, except with like Martina Navratilova's face on them. So that's what Sisters of Battle look like to me. They look like Martina Navratilova, the army. But they've lost. They remove a lot of the overt sexuality. Like demonettes back in the day, they were nude, and then they were naked, and there were some really cool, like, highly alluring demonette sculpts back in the day. They don't have those anymore. If you look at Malifaux, the original Malifaux, it was edgy as shit when it came out. It was gory. They had, opium dens. They had prostitutes. I mean, they still have those characters. But if you look at them now compared to what they used to look like, they're a lot less sexualized. They're a lot cleaner. They're a lot more mainstream. Like, there's no more Injun Joss. Now he's just Joss, and he's like white, and that bothers me. I liked Injun Joss. You didn't have to call him Injun Joss. You could just call him Joss, and he could still retain his Native American ethnicity. I don't know why they had to make him a white dude. That pissed me off. But that's what I'm getting at. Fandoms will go through that. And as they go through that maturity, you don't want to take a medium and force it to go through that. If they're going to respond to if they're going to respond to mainstream appeal and make the creative decision to go that way on their own, great. But like, you're not going to criticize. Well, you are, but you really shouldn't criticize a company like, say, Ninja Division, which stays with the anime theme. And in some ways, the new Relic Knight stuff, they've kind of doubled down on it, So, anyways, there's that group done. I think I might as well show you these. Whoa. That's weird. My chair is falling apart here because I'm a fat ass. I don't know. It's just a really old chair. I'm going to show you like the minis I was working on last week because we're done with the building and just rambling. So here's the guy we painted last week, right? Really cool. He's still got the stare. See that? He's still like slightly dead behind the eyes here. Pretty awesome. But really fun sculpt. Really enjoyed painting him. And then you have this guy who's rad, Komuso. He's like look at that basket on his head. He's so awesome. Real simple color scheme on him. I didn't really go wild or anything. He's just fun. Then you have, I forget her name. I think it's Mochizuki. But she's got that death stare. This is like how my wife looked back at that chick. Like this is the look she shot her. Like that. That's what it. Anyways, so those are done. That's cool. And here's some stuff just because we're talking. So I picked up some stuff for Relic Knights, some of the new resin kits. I'm really excited to try. Relic Knights 1.5 is now public, so now we can talk about the games. Our gaming group had been playing 1.5 for a while. So I picked up this squad here, Faust Devils. And they look fun. They look kind of like the Corsairs. So there's their card. And what's cool is it's now just a single double-sided card, which is cool. Here's what the new Ninja Division resin stuff, what it looks like, what it comes on. So it comes on these sprues like this. And they're really much better quality now. This is kind of scary though. Whenever you have resin that's like really, see how shiny that is? See how glossy that is? This really needs to be cleaned. Your resin should not look that shiny. I'm gonna have to clean this with a little soap and water. That scares me because I get worried about the clarity, the detail with these. Looks like you get two heads. You get an alternate head there, so you can have like one with the goggles on and one with just a regular face. It looks like you get some options for armament. Like you could do Kung Fu guy with his arms crossed. I'm excited, man. This stuff is going to be cool. I don't know when I'll be able to paint it though, because right now I got to focus in on getting ready for Comic-Con. But this is something for me. Here's the other sculpt. Only one head on this sculpt, but big giant two-handed sword. I need to get Faust for this squad. But here's the detailing on it. Relic Knights, the quality of the miniatures has just skyrocketed. They're way cool. And then here's my favorite sculpt of the whole set. It's like the main body fell off. Like that. Oh my God, that's beautiful. I gotta paint this as soon as possible. That is so cool. I'm gonna have to paint my butchers though at some point. So I'll probably paint them first, and then I'll paint these as kind of like a treat. There's the legs. It's weird. It's the both legs are one piece, and they fit like that. Pretty cool. little bit of cleanup to be done, but that's really cool. And then detail on the face. Man, these are so fun. Like I said, Relic Knights has really picked it up, dude. My hope is that Ninja Division actually puts a little muscle behind promoting it, because I love the game. I think it's a really cool game. It's a really unique experience for a miniatures game, and it's been my favorite game since its launch. It's just what you can do in Relic Knights is just so much different, and it's such a unique experience. And I love that they did not back down on that anime theme. Like they doubled down on it. They went even more anime. So I picked up that, and then I picked up this is the Void Witch. Let me show you this sculpt. This is another one that's just, oh my god, they're just brilliant. Love Relic Knights. See, and I don't even care what gender identity you are. I don't care what you are. If you like Relic Knights, I'm down with you. Don't care what color you are. Don't care what gender you are. Don't care what preference, whatever. If you are down with Relic Knights, look at that. That's, it's so good. So good. Now, this is a weird one. The Void Witch still comes on 2 cards. I don't get that. The new cards are supposed to be just 1 card now. 1 double-sided card. So here's that. Really looking forward to painting these. Like, this is the fun stuff. I love Guild Ball, and I will continue to play Guild Ball. And they paint very fun. But for me, for my money and my time, this is what I want to paint. And this resin, this is see how much flatter, like dull, the resin that is. It doesn't have that high shine to it. Doesn't have high sheen to it. That's what you want your resin to look like. Now, if it's chalky and powdery, I mean, you should clean it anyway. But look at that detail. Lots of pieces on this miniature, but so cool. I'm really impressed with these. This is going to be super fun. Anywho, that is pretty much going to do it. I know all we did was pin a couple of models, but we did start late, and like I said, I'm going to prime these tomorrow. I'm not really going to. I really had nothing ready to paint or complete anyways, but here's the pieces. So it's a full butcher squad. I sold my previous butcher's team on eBay. This one will eventually get sold on eBay. I may have to replace or give a discount for Princess here, because Princess has a miscast on her foot. Here's Meat Hook. But these are great miniatures. And they paint nice. Takes about 4 days to paint a Guild Ball team. So anyway, if you guys have any other final comments or anything, let me know. Speak now or forever hold your peace, or at least until next week. I don't know. Well, next week I will be on, right? Next week I plan on being on, because I have to paint for Comic-Con. The following week I probably will not be on, because I will be at Comic-Con. Okay, so unless I am able to find a place to stream, I may not even bring my laptop to Comic-Con. I probably won't. I probably won't. It's not necessary. I don't think I'm going to be filming any games or anything there, so I probably won't. So you probably won't. I might upload some stuff from my cell phone, but that's about it. And then the week after that, I should be back, but I'm not entirely sure. We might be moving at that point. So anyways, we're just, we're going to be tentative for a while until we get stable. I really hope that the stuff with my new house falls into place. I will be poor when I move into my new house, which is the bad news. The good news is I have so many supplies and so many miniatures left to paint that I won't be without stuff to paint. I don't need to buy anything, and I don't plan on buying anything for some time, just so that we can enjoy the painting. Alrighty, so unless you guys have any other questions, we'll give it another 90 seconds for the delay. Let me know. Otherwise, we're gonna shut down here in a minute. Here's another thing that kind of just an oddball thing I need to wrap up is I need to paint this guy for Arena Rex. He's coming along. It's hard to get light on him. This model's got thrown a lot of shadow. It kind of looks like your standard Roman centurion. Hey, shit lord. Hey, what's up, Canvas? See, you hopped on too late, man. You missed the whole. You missed all the F-bombs. You missed me saying fuck you, you fucking fucks for like, I don't know. I think my rant was something like 35, 45 minutes. It was good stuff, man. You need to go back and just put that shit on when you're painting. Because I'm tired. I'm going to say my shit. Just going to say it. Yeah. I want to play some more Arena Rex again. This is a very fun game. It's a good filler game. We played some Ninja All-Stars this week. Another fun, kind of popcorny, beer and pretzel type game. I'm going to paint these generic. This is just a generic shrine team. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, I've got odds and ends and stuff that I should paint. And I'll get to it. And hey, I don't have to paint my Alchemist team because they didn't sell. So that means I have an Alchemist team. But I should probably try to sell them just so that I don't need my Alchemist team. They're awesome. They look fantastic, but I don't need them. I should just relist it on eBay, and I'll start it at a lower price and whatever. If I break even, fine. At least I can consciously move on. Because I won't be keeping that team forever either. So I have to make room for my fish team for demos for Comic-Con. So I should probably take care of that. So I'm falling asleep, as you can tell. I'm like fading off here, but super fun. I liked talking madness and being pissed off about stuff. But yeah, if you're watching this on recording though, I would be very curious to know, like, what do you think about my little rant? Do you think am I off base, or do you think I'm making a point? Because whatever, I think I am. So bottom line, there are assholes in every crowd. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They could be goldfish fanatics. They could be stamp collectors. Doesn't matter. There's going to be, you get a large enough group of people together, you're going to get some assholes. Okay? The last thing you want to do is start turning it into a political thing and start policing the content of the creators. Like, that's the worst absolute thing you can do. So fuck you guys that think that's cool and are trying to do that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Want to thank everybody for watching. Have a good night, guys. And I won't catch you next Wednesday. I'm going to try to get you guys before that. Oh, no, I will. Yeah, I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Anyway, have a good one. Thanks. Good night.